the Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board for Monday, June 20th, 2016. I believe the agenda is going to stand as posted. Do you see any of the changes, Art?
Nope,
No
as
changes. I take it you've all received the meeting notes. Let me confirm that there are 4 people present, and so we have a quorum and can proceed. There are 3 members who were not able to join us tonight. You've received the meeting notes. Have you all had a chance to look at them?
Yes.
I may have a motion to accept them as submitted.
So be it.
Motion by Woody, second by Eric. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed. Minutes.
Second, I don't think you acted on, you didn't act on those at last week.
We did not act on the May 2nd
Right.
meeting minutes. Have you all had a chance to look at those?
Oh, that was last week, yes.
May 2nd?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you remember looking at them?
Yeah, some of it was vaguely familiar when I read it.
Does anybody have any changes, additions? I have a motion to accept the minutes for May 2nd. Moved by Eric, seconded by Sharon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. Correspondence and announcements. Anyone have any correspondence or announcements? Perhaps we've got a couple minutes. Maybe you want to update the other members of the planning board on where we are with the zoning revision?
Okay, with the proposed local law modifying the zoning law, the housekeeping amendments, town board held a public hearing on June 13th. There were some comments submitted by Dutchess County Planning, 2 of which were comments that they recommended to be addressed by Land Use Council, and a couple of other minor technical amendments. There was a comment submitted by the CAB, and Councilman Gelb indicated at the time of the hearing that he had some comments on the proposed local law, and in discussion, the town board discussion at that time, rather than having the Councilman Gelb spend a lot of time that evening going through the comments, it was decided that Councilman Gelb would be invited to, well, number one is that the county's comments and any others would be turned over to the task group for review and examination, and that Councilman Gelb would also be invited to participate in the task group meeting, in that the 2 task group participants from the town board were Ed and Elizabeth. But Councilman Gelb would also be invited. The task group had that meeting at 2 o'clock this afternoon, between 2 and 4. I was directed in concert with John Lyons to make, and in the interim, there were certain matters that were reviewed with the town attorney. But at 4 o'clock, I was charged with the responsibility in coordination with John Lyons to tweak, if you will, the proposed local law with the aim of the town board being able to acknowledge next Monday evening at its meeting that the revised proposed local law would then be on the table. That being the case, I would trust the town board would be scheduling a continuation of the hearing for its July meeting, which I think is July 11th, and presumably being in a position at that point in time to act on the proposed local law.
So will it become law at that time?
It would become effective immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. The town clerk would file with the Secretary of State, which literally occurs within days of the days of the enactment or the adoption.
And the only other thing that I can report, and I think you all perhaps received copies of it, was that the people associated with the Quitman Resource Center did effectively remove the graffiti boards from the Lown Barn, which was part of what we requested when we approved the demolition permit, and that has occurred. So Gibraltar will now be proceeding to go ahead with the demolition, but
With a different contractor.
Okay.
They've indicated,
Okay.
Scott indicated that in his letter.
But that was the first time I heard the term agricultural graffiti, so that's a very interesting.
Yeah, I know.
Well, it's nice to see that at least that
I
was
thought it was a
saved.
crop circle.
No. All right, we are now at 6:35 and able to proceed with the first public hearing of this evening, and that is for Edward McNally, 379 Slate Quarry Road, wetlands permit, special use permit, and site plan. It's a continuation from the June 6, 2016 of conduct of public hearing on applications for amendment of wetlands permit, special use permit, site plan approval granted by the planning board on July 20, 2015 in the matter of a proposed dwelling and accessory improvements on an 18.784 acre tax map parcel listed within the rural countryside district and based upon a site plan prepared by Mark Rominsky, P.E. and L.S., and dated May 18, 2015, in consideration of a proposed superseding site plan being Mr. Grominski's drawing as revised to April 8, 2016 by Warren Temple Smith, R.A., and related house addition plans and elevations prepared by Mr. Smith dated August 26, 2015, and revised to March 7, 2016, being an unlisted action under seeker. All right, so,
The planning board presumably would have acted on this application at its last meeting. However, the 30-day period authorized Dutchess County Planning for response to the required referral had not expired, and Dutchess County had not yet responded. Dutchess County has, in the interim, responded. They responded on June 14th and identified this as simply a matter of local concern. That triggers the opportunity for the planning board to consider the applications under both seeker and the zoning law and the other laws, and to do so without need of a majority plus one vote, which would have occurred had there been county comments.
public hearing still open?
Your public hearing is open in continuation, as you basically indicated. It stays open until a seeker determination is
Right.
made.
Is there anyone, well, are there any questions of Warren? Warren is here representing Mr. McNally. Are there any board questions of Warren?
Or audience?
Well, I was getting to my audience next. Is there anyone among the public here this evening who wishes to make a comment? Hearing none, I think I'll proceed with the draft seeker resolution.
Yes.
Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board, this is essentially the paragraph that I read to introduce it. So 1, pursuant to its classification of the proposed action as an unlisted action under seeker, determines upon review of the short EAF Part 1 and its own completion of the annexed short EAF Part 2, in consideration of the criteria for determining significance set forth at Title 6, Part 617.7C NYCRR, that the proposed action as described above will cause no potential significant adverse impact on the environment, and thus issues a negative declaration deeming an environmental impact statement to not be required and stating such will not be prepared. 2, authorizes the chair to so execute the short EAF and directs the planning board clerk to distribute and file the executed determination of significance in the manner set forth within the seeker implementing regulations, Title 6, Part 617.12 NYCRR. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Sharon, seconded by Eric. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So be it.
Moved by Woody, seconded by Eric. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. I'll go ahead now to the approvals resolution. I think I can start with number 1.
Start with actually the last phrases of the preamble, and further subject of a negative declaration, which was issued on July.
Issued on July 20, 2015.
June 20, not on July 20th, however.
July 20, 2015.
Today. June 20th,
June 20,
2016.
Oh, you were really off on that.
And that was before Saturday.
And further subject of a negative declaration under seeker issued on June 20, 2016, and which, upon review, was found to remain applicable for this undertaken No, see, are you sure? Read that.
Oh, no, okay.
What are you saying?
We're issuing independent, I was originally going to just go with a statement of consistency only and say
Okay.
that this was consistent, but it's actually a new application. Yeah, so it should, and further subject to a negative declaration termination issued on June 20th, 2016.
Okay,
Delete and which review.
right.
That would have applied to its consistency.
1, in the matter of the application for special use permit under Town Code Chapter 125, Sections 125-40 and 125-54 WRO District, finds the proposed work to have a negligible effect, if any, on the Crum Elbow Creek, and issues without condition the requested special use permit. 2, in the matter of the application for wetlands permit under Town Code Chapter 120, finds the proposed work to have a negligible effect, if any, on the 100-foot buffer of the wetland within and/or adjacent to the McNally lands, and issues without condition the requested wetlands permit. 3, in the matter of the application for site plan review and approval under Town Code Chapter 125, Section 125-73, approves the above-cited site plan as an adequate depiction of the proposed work and the regulated resources set forth in above paragraphs 1 and 2, and in doing so waives any requirements that may be construed to exist for a fuller site plan submission, and authorizes the chair to stamp and sign the site plan and transmit copies thereof to the zoning administrator, the building inspector, and the applicant upon the applicant's satisfaction of each of the below conditions within the next 6 calendar months. A, submission of the site plan drawings for stamping and signature in the form and number specified under Town Code Chapter 125, Section 125-78, subsection B, or may be as may be modified by the chair. B, payment of any fees or reimbursable amounts due the town related to review and processing of both this application and the aforementioned application for special use permit. In taking this action, the planning board further authorizes the building inspector to issue a building permit for the proposed work upon receipt of a copy of the site plan stamped and signed by the chair and the town zoning enforcement officer and/or building inspector, as pertinent, to subsequently issue a certificate of occupancy for the applicant's proposed modified single-family dwelling, accessory structures, and related site improvements upon determination in each event that both the terms of this resolution and all other codes, laws, rules, or regulations within the purview of the ZEO and/or building inspector, including but not limited to the requirements of the New York State Uniform Building Construction and Fire Prevention Code, have been satisfied. May I hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Sharon, second? Seconded by Eric. I'll poll the board. Woody?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Sharon?
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. Thank you, Warren. The second public hearing this evening is Keith Arndt, 6 Long Dock Road, special use permit, wetlands permit, and site plan. This is a continuation, again from June 6, 2016, of the conduct of a public hearing on applications for special use permit, wetlands permit, and site plan review and approval in the matter of proposed building improvements, including demolition of an existing shed, a chicken coop being a contributing structure, removal of the enclosed porch from the dwelling, and construction of a new roof on a water well enclosure, a new garden shed, and a tractor barn/workshop and related site improvements, all directly involving or otherwise accessory to an historic single-family dwelling, the Kip House, on a 5.692-acre tax map parcel listed within the Historic Preservation and Rhine Cliff Overlay Districts, the Hudson River National Historic Landmarks District, and the town's LWRA, being a Type 1 action under seeker and further subject of a pending application for area variances before the Zoning Board of Appeals and referral to New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation. Okay. All right, we have a copy. Should I read the copy of the, we have
That's just the
received?
second paragraph.
We have received our referral, response, and sign-off from Parks, which says, in summary, we have reviewed your submission dated May 26, 2016 for the Keith Arndt porch removal repairs and new construction project. We understand that the proposed project will include a new roof on a well house, replacement of a deteriorated shed with another of similar size and similar design, removal of an existing lean-to shed, construction of a new tractor shed, and removal of a mid-20th century enclosed porch from one wall, of the principal dwelling. Based on this review, the SHPO has no concerns with the proposed project.
The absence of a letter from SHPO, a comment letter from SHPO, or the sign-off from SHPO, was the single matter that caused this board to defer taking action under seeker or making a determination under seeker at the last meeting. The item for potential consideration this evening is in fact a determination under seeker. The board can go no further beyond that until the ZBA considers certain variances that await the seeker determination. So consequently, there are two matters that the planning board can consider. One is the seeker resolution, and the second would be the scheduling of further continuation of this hearing to the July meeting, by which time the ZBA will have presumably acted on the variance application. And you would then be in position to act on the other package of applications before the planning board.
Are they on, no, so it hasn't been scheduled for the ZBA yet?
No, because we were waiting for this draft.
Okay. All right, so we have any questions from the board?
Oh, the other thing you do have is you do have essentially the equivalent of a sign-off letter from the WAC with respect to coastal policies, and that is referenced in the seeker resolution. That was dated 6 June.
So basically, we're just kicking it back to the ZBA then?
We have to,
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
So that's our only action to move this forward?
correct. I mean, they can't act until we've adopted the seeker resolution,
Okay.
okay?
I think we ought to do that.
All right, let me proceed to read it then.
And the blank in the resolution, Melody, the date of the CAB comment is June 6th.
That here? Oh, yeah,
Right.
June 6th?
Yeah. And of course, as you remember, there was a supportive letter also submitted by the town historian on this particular. Yep.
Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board hereby acts as follows on a proposed action involving applications to the Planning Board for special use permits, certificate of demolition or removal, wetlands permit, site plan review and approval, and to the ZBA for related area variances in the matter of proposed building improvements, including demolition of an existing shed, and that is that section I read in the introduction. All is depicted on site and architectural plans by Warren Temple Smith Architects and otherwise subject of a full EAF Part 1 and coastal assessment form submitted by the applicant, and referral-based comments letters of May 4th, 2016 from Town Historian Nancy Kelly, of June 15, 2016 from the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, and of June 6, 2016 from the Town Conservation Advisory Waterfront Advisory Committee. 1, pursuant to its designation as lead agency under seeker for coordinated review of the proposed action being a Type 1 action, determines upon review of the full EAF Part 1 and its own completion of the annexed EAF Part 2, in consideration of the criteria for determining significance set forth at Title 6, Part 617.7C NYCRR, including both its own consideration and that of the New York State Office for Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, of the historic preservation policies underlying the Historic Landmarks District designation, and both its own consideration and that of the town's Waterfront Advisory Committee of the pertinent coastal policies set forth within the town's LWRP, that the proposed action as described in the above cited applications and supporting documentation presented by the applicant will cause no potential significant adverse impact on the environment, and thus issues a negative declaration deeming an environmental impact statement to not be required and stating such will not be prepared. 2, authorizes the chair to so execute the full EAF and directs the planning board clerk to publish and distribute and file the executed determination of significance in the manner set forth within the seeker implementing regulations, Title 6, Part 617.12 NYCRR. May I hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Woody, seconded by Eric. All those in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. So now yes?
That's all you schedule a
That's-
another motion, schedule a continuation of the hearing.
Right.
Basically, I indicated, I think it's 6:50 at, July 18th at 6:50.
The CBA won't have a decision by that day, because if we're bringing it back on the 6th, That means they need the time to close the public to.
ZBA hasn't accepted the application and scheduled the hearing yet?
The public hearing was held, but they need the time to prepare the resolution.
Okay.
So they might not be ready for
No.
the 18th.
You schedule a continuation and...
I think we should schedule the continuation to
Yeah.
that date. They're meeting when, Margarita?
The 6th.
The
They
6th?
would meet the 6th and the 20th then,
Which
apparently.
means that they have like 60 days to come up with a.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, usually they prepare within the 2 weeks, but I've seen it last year.
Well, I'm comfortable going ahead with continuing our public hearing to July 18th so that it's on the calendar.
We get it on the calendar and let it roll if it has to.
All right, may I have a motion to continue the public hearing to our next meeting, which will be July 18, 2016 at 6:50?
So moved.
Moved by Sharon,
Second.
seconded by Eric. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries, so we'll roll with it.
Margarita, I recognize that I've got 2 or 3 seeker items that I need to take care of within the next few days. Okay? Yeah, I recognize that. So you don't have to remind me. Yeah. There's a filing on a couple of the type 1 actions that's required.
Well, this doesn't happen.
Not the local filing, but the EMB publication. Yeah.
This doesn't happen often, so I will comment on it. We are running a little ahead of schedule. And so while we're waiting for 6:55, and
Actually, that wouldn't make any difference.
wouldn't make a difference, just go ahead.
We can go to the referrals.
Yeah, let's do the referrals.
Card, I need to get in touch with you about another matter. Sure.
So we're going to jump ahead at this point and kill a couple minutes by looking at the ZBA referrals.
And tomorrow?
And you have David Chapman, an application for area variances.
Yeah, handle that one secondly.
Hmm?
Handle that one secondly.
All right, first is Eric Wallach, application for area variances based upon the ZEO's determination in the matter of a construction of a barn at 293 Wittenberg Road.
I think the board's familiar with the Wallach property. This has been the subject of subdivision application down on Wallach Foster, down on Wittenberg Road. The application to the ZBA is triggered by the demolition of an existing barn and the construction of a new barn. And Ron has identified 3 areas of noncompliance, being that, number 1, the number of accessory structures on the property would be 6 instead of 3, or presumably is already 6, and will continue to be 6 instead of 3. The total aggregate square footage of those accessory structures will be increased to 4,600 square feet from 1,500 that's allowed, and that the replacement barn is closer to the existing fronting street than the principal dwelling, as is the existing barn. Those are the variances. They don't appear to be the type that raise any planning or environmental issues, or any zoning issues, except for those that have been identified by the ZEO. I've got a 2-paragraph draft recommendation for you to consider to that effect.
Excuse me, this is non-agricultural?
It is not agricultural.
It wouldn't, okay, we're not going to go there right now. Simple ag district status or whatever would not trigger anything different. Yeah, it is. It's not qualifying for any kind of an agricultural exception.
The draft recommendation is as follows. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board has reviewed the application for area variances submitted by Eric Wallach in the matter of the construction of a barn at 293 Wittenberg Road. Planning Board finds the requested area variances to raise no planning or environmental issues and recommends the Zoning Board of Appeals rely upon its own study of the facts in deciding this application in accordance with the criteria, procedures set forth within Section 125-124C and D of the zoning law, including due consideration of the input of neighbors. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Sharon,
Second.
seconded by Woody. All those in favor? Opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Do you want to do Chapman?
Yeah, Chapman, and this application would have been before the planning board this evening for the first time as a subdivision application in this matter. But Mr. Chapman asked that it be deferred to July based upon his non-availability this evening. Mr. Chapman has two adjacent lots in Rhinecliff, totaling about 4.9 acres. He seeks to make a lot line adjustment between the two properties, which then triggered the need for going to the ZBA for a variance, or several variances with respect to setbacks, either existing setbacks or modified setbacks as they will occur when the lot line is altered. There seemed to be a complication involved in that the ZBA had requested some deed information from Mr. Chapman regarding a right-of-way which serves the properties. Mr. Chapman has provided that information to the ZBA and to Ron. Hopefully it will satisfy them. But as part of Ron's review, Ron is recommending that there's a certain small parcel of ground involved in the subdivision application, not the variance application, in the subdivision application that be deeded to the town be required to be deeded to the town as part of the planning board's subdivision action. It doesn't affect the matters that are proposed for variance at this point in time. So beyond the subdivision issue, there are no other issues associated with this.
So we don't need to take any action tonight?
You could basically adopt the same language with different. You could talk about the area variances submitted by David Chapman in the matter of a proposed lot line alteration on Valley Way Road, and take the same position with respect to it there being no issues involved, and obviously the ZBA should consider the criteria that are spelled out in the zoning law.
I consider that a motion. Sharon? Second. Eric, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, we will return to the regular session and new business. Mark Wasowski, 3 Mount Rutson Road, site plan approval. It's a continuation from June 6, 2016, of an initial presentation of an application for site plan approval in the matter of proposed modifications, including additions to an existing 3-family dwelling to accommodate a principal dwelling unit and 2 apartments located at tax map parcel listed and fronting on designated scenic roadways within the rural agricultural district, and the town's LWRA Planning Board review of application and processing as may be timely under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning and seeker. So let me back up here. All right. So since the last meeting, what has occurred is that information including assessment records have been presented concerning the 3-family classification of this dwelling. A boundary survey map has been revised to June 15, 2016 by Morris Associates, submitted by the applicant, and is intended to serve as the required site plan. Key elements that have been added to this survey map are shown in the assumed location of the SSDA and the location of proposed on-site parking in a manner which avoids parking in front of or adjacent to the garage across the street at a location with limited site distance and on a separate parcel on the opposite side of a public roadway from the dwelling. Contact was made with the Dutchess County Health Department as to whether there was any information in the department's files concerning this location's sanitary sewage facilities.
And it was determined that there was none.
Right. And some discussion has been taking place regarding the fire and life safety requirements. And I hope we'll get updated on that. So we're here this evening for you to proceed.
Any questions?
We met, and you did what we asked you to do.
Right.
Right?
And there are no outstanding violations on the health department side? The additions are what I spoke about the last time: a left and a right extension porch, and a mudroom in the back, which takes the place of a 2-story side porch that was on the building already, and takes the place of staircases and porches on the side of the building.
Woody, you had some conversations with Ed?
Yeah, there was some confusion relative to the fire code on your structure. And I think when I talked with the building inspector, it was his take that it depended on how much work was done inside, whether that would be set up by code to do this or do that. And when I talked to him, he had not made a determination on that. The other discussion we had was, do you have a well out there?
We have village water.
You have the line that runs down
Yes.
Old Post Road?
Yes.
Okay, we were undecided.
We do have an existing old hand-dug well, which we might use for watering the garden or what have you, but the drink,
Yeah,
the drinking,
technically, I think you're supposed to cover them over.
it's in a well house.
Yeah, looks nice, but yeah, that's really what,
But we do have water.
okay, because originally, the original village source of water was out past your place on what they called Heathington's Well, and that's why you have that odd water line going down, because
Yeah,
it came into the
it
village from the
It
north.
was my understanding that the water line ran down only Old Post, it didn't come down Mount Rutson, so we had to come across
That's
the
correct,
property. Yeah.
that's correct, yeah. So, I don't know what the code enforcement building inspector is gonna have to make that decision about where you are in construction, how much you have or have not done, will do, have to do, and then that determination will determine whether the fire code has to be brought up to
Yeah,
speed.
we'll bring him in and we'll, listen to what he has to say,
Yeah,
sure.
because he said if you have this, you gotta go to this book. If you have that, you gotta go to that book. So, it's a typical government regulation, but,
At what point do we need to have that question answered?
It's not a planning board issue.
Okay.
that's building, yeah,
That's
that's building.
that's why
inspector.
that's why there's always a clause on any of your approval resolutions about in further compliance with anything within the purview of the building inspector and/or CEO under the building code, et cetera.
Okay.
It's not a planning board issue.
Questions from the planning board?
Did we get it straightened out about the two lots, the one across the road being the garage one and that being,
As far as I understand, not,
sufficient parking
Yeah.
on the lot with the
all right, so
Wait.
that's taken care of, and the lot across the, even though
the lot across the street,
It's not labeled site plan, it's labeled revised survey map or whatever.
the lot across the street will
not
remain
part
a
of the-
separate parcel.
It's not
Okay.
going to be addressed in this approval at all.
Okay.
This is parking area.
I see,
and
okay,
these are more
so
parking
this is all
areas.
taken care of on that, that's.
And there's more room to park inside if somebody has to.
We were concerned about it, I took a look at it, and as many of you know, that road is a pretty heavily trafficked and trafficked much too quickly road. And so when we met with the Wasatskis, we talked about locating all the parking for the 3 units on the parcel on the west so that we weren't increasing a road hazard by having people go in and out.
Tater Hill is an extremely quiet road, and
Yes.
we own the property to the center line of the road.
Right. So they were amicable to creating this plan that places it all there, and I think that relieves a lot of pressure certainly on
I think-
anyone.
I think that garage situation with the traffic that's now on Mount Rutland is terrible.
Oh,
I mean, it's increased probably 600-700% in the last 5 years.
I guess it was there before there were modern
It was,
cars.
It
Yeah.
was, when it was probably a dirt road.
I'm not sure if the...
But we have more than
Leave
enough
it in, but
space for any amount of people on our property.
Good.
actually didn't belong in the...
All right, if there's no additional questions, I'll proceed with a draft procedural resolution. Yeah, sure.
There's a whole bunch of structures on this property, that's all been taken care of in variances and all that?
They're,
Pre-existing.
yeah, they're all existing. There are no modifications being suggested as part of the planning board application.
Yeah, we got
And you've got all the
variances from
variances, you've got all the variances at the time of the since dropped solar proposal. Right, but the rest of that application went forward.
Yes.
Yeah, they simply deleted the proposed solar
So the
installation.
variances are
In
in place.
In place and less than a year old.
Very good.
All right, the Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board, upon review and determination by the CEO, hereby acts as follows. On the application by Mark Wasotsky for site plan approval in the matter of proposed modifications to an existing dwelling, going on ahead. Short EAF Part 1 coastal assessment form, and now complemented by a revised boundary survey map, intended site plan prepared by Morris Associates, dated June 15, 2016. 1, accepts the application and supporting documents as adequate for initiating review by the planning board, its advisors, and the public. 2, in accordance with Title 6 NYCRR Part 617.5B, classifies the proposed action as a Type 2 action under seeker for which environmental quality review is precluded. 3, schedules a public hearing on the application for Monday, July 18, 2016, at 6:55 p.m. and directs the clerk to undertake or otherwise cause the noticing and posting thereof in accordance with the requirements set forth within Town Code Chapter 125 zoning. Delegates planning board members, Eric and
I'll do it, go ahead.
Woody,
Yep.
to conduct a field visit to the project site and report their observations at the time of public hearing. In accordance with Town Code Chapter 9, Conservation Advisory Board refers the applications to the Town Conservation Advisory Board for review and written comment concerning environmental factors within the 30-day time period provided within Chapter 9. 6, in accordance with the requirements of Section 239 of the New York State General Municipal Law and the related agreement executed by Dutchess County and the town, refers the application for amendment of site plan approval to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development for review and issuance of advisory opinion within 30 calendar days. 7, authorizes the town planning consultant without prejudice to any information or comment that may be presented at the public hearing or may arise on the basis of both above cited referrals and field visit to prepare the working draft of an approval resolution incorporating any recommended conditions for the planning board's consideration on July 18, 2016, or as may be later timely. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Sharon, seconded by Woody. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We'll see you on July 18th.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I need some contact, who and how to get a hold of whoever who is, so when we make the site review. Will it be you?
Yes.
Okay. You want to do an email, phone? How do you want to do it?
Whatever's best for you.
Give me them both and we'll figure it out.
While he's doing that, may we hear your motion,
that's
Woody?
fine.
And it's Mark.
I'm sorry?
You have a motion to make?
Oh, already?
We're done.
Done. A motion to close the
I don't wanna make
meeting. May I have a
it.
second?